Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crypto nerds of all ages, you know who I am. I'm Monty, also known as the Crypto Nerd, and today we've got Nifty Media Art and their special featured artist, Ty Wright. Graffiti Heroes is what we're going to talk about today. Stay tuned.
Sweet. What's up, guys? It's Lauren here, and we are here with Ty Wright and Fabs from Nifty Media Art. Fabs is CEO and founder of Nifty Media, and Ty is our featured artist. You can see his art in movies like Spider-Man: No Way Home and more. So how are you guys doing today?
Great. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Doing good. Doing
Awesome.
good. Thank you for asking.
Sweet. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's start with Fabs. I know you've been on here before, but do you want to give our new viewers a little background about yourself and Nifty Media Art, like super quick?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. This is always a pleasure being here. I come from 20 plus years in corporate America, from Big Four consulting to media publishing and tech. I spent the last few years in the weeds of blockchain, and we started this startup a year and a half ago, and we did a dual mission of building custom projects like the one that Ty is working on. And by the way, Ty is also one of the founding members of Nifty Media Art. We have an amazing team. And the other aspect of Nifty Media is a marketplace and streaming app, including all the art forms, from movies to music to visual art. And our mission is kind of to become the modern house of medicine, just because I'm Italian, to foster emerging and existing artists, put them always first, and provide an environment where they can blossom. And I'm gonna let Ty speak about Graffiti Heroes, but what I love about his project and his idea is that it came to us and surprising all of us with telling a story, his own personal story, and the stories were so rich that we kind of had to move away from the traditional templates of what you see up there in generative art. But I'm probably talking too much by now, so maybe I'll stop right there.
Very interesting. Love the background.
Yeah. No, we'll talk about Graffiti Heroes here in a second, but really quick, Ty, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and then how you got into Nifty Media?
Cool. I'm Ty, and I am a look development artist by profession. And as far as Nifty Media, is about a year ago now. I was introduced to Nifty Media by another colleague named Dan Hoffman. We worked together at CNBC doing news graphics, like high pressure, like deadline due, like make graphics, that kind of work environment. And we never got a chance to touch base and like talk about personal art. So he was just wondering what I was up to on the side and wanted to see if I was interested in exploring NFTs. And that's where my connection to Nifty Media was born. He introduced me to Fabio, and I had a little bit of input, but he told me I'd have some input in creating a artist marketplace created for artists, made by artists. And I was like, I cannot pass up on opportunity just to have like an impact in like this like, amazing space was something that I was looking forward to. I knew not too much about NFTs at the time, but I had a fingerprint in crypto and was into studying what was going on in Coinbase and things like that. But I didn't really have a focus or group, or wasn't really part of the community. I was just looking on like online. So with Nifty Media, I was introduced to so many people that were already in the crypto space and also in the NFT space. So that's like the marriage between Nifty Media and I, is really them helping me understand the NFT market and how I could leverage my art. I don't want to say even leverage art, but even leverage like my ability to create art and have me express that to the world. And NFTs, in an actual marketplace, is the perfect platform to do that in.
It's a great platform. I love that everybody has such a personal connection to Nifty Media Art. So, we had the pleasure of visiting and going to, sort of the quasi, the pre-launch party, I guess, maybe. There's another, the kind of a get-together that we had at NFT NYC. It was great. And making the rounds and talking to all the various artists, it was very easy to see that it had, it's almost cliche, but a very like family atmosphere. Because everybody that I talked to had a personal story about their connection to you or Dan or Fabs. And everybody gave me their story about how they first met and, how they were introduced. And it just felt very, very organic. And it's a weird combination, right? Because it's high-tech blockchain, NFTs, and this kind of organic growth in feel and artistry, which is very, you think of an artist as almost very like tactile, very like you got to be there and experience. And I've noticed one of the ways that you bridge that gap and you bring in some of the emotion in the experience is with like your weekly Discord discussions. And we got to see you live as you created an art piece right in front of us with audience feedback.
That was fun, which I included that in the New York vlog.
Yeah, it was great.
I saw it yet, but I included like little bits of you painting. I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, is that vital to who you are as an artist, that feedback? And, was it difficult for you to kind of channel that through, some alternative means where you don't have necessarily always a live audience that way, or at least not one that you can reach out and touch and, kind of feel the audience, feedback right away?
Yeah, that night, or just in general, being live and then be able to, let me start off. I'm a traditional artist by default. Ever since childhood, I drew pictures. Like I'll draw pictures of a bike. I'll draw pictures of an airplane. I grew up in a taller building, so I'll look out the window and like draw what I could. And like I'm always observing. So I was trained in fine arts. I just in fine arts alone, sculpture, painting, photography, drawing, and I found a really deep liking to painting. I had a mentor named William T. Williams, who he founded or beta tested golden acrylics painting. So like this, to me, just being in contact with somebody like that just brought my love for painting to the forefront. So when it came time for the event and to paint in front of people, I'm just like kind of channeling like my like upbringing and schooling and painting and trying to add a personal touch with how I feel, and to be able to like share that with a crowd of people. But it felt natural, like it was a lot of nerves. Even talking here, I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I say? So like, it is nerve wracking, but it's not that I never know what to paint. I just kind of naturally, because I lock myself in the studio a lot of times, just naturally love to create on the go, on the fly, and then see what happens and try to express myself without words onto a canvas. So traditionally trained in art, so just be able to communicate that. And I mean, for y'all to say y'all enjoyed it and loved it is a real honor. I'm glad I'm able to share that love.
Fantastic. We could feel the vibe off of you. Like the whole room was full of energy. I've got one more question, Lauren, and then I'll let you go because I think you've got one in your back pocket as well. But the Graffiti Heroes, line. So when you created these, how did you channel that same kind of energy? And I noticed there's some stories that go behind some of these too. So I'm wondering, like, how deep in the memories and the upbringing did it just come to you all at once? Was it just like, oh, I got this creative gush and now I just go, or did it take a long period of time to, kind of, roll out?
It did take a long time. It was a process. When I think about creating art from scratch, I don't really create art from scratch. I work in film and television, sign a whole bunch of NDAs, see artwork from clients. And the project I'm most known for, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I had to study comic books. So when it came time for me to do art of my own personal art, have to draw reference from what I do at work. So I thought about doing more comics. Then talking to Fabio, Dan, and kind of reaching deep down inside to connect the story to Graffiti Heroes. I had to think about when I was growing up, what influenced me. Like, what do I draw? What style do I draw in? And growing up in Brooklyn, I saw a lot of murals growing up in graffiti tags. So I knew that I wanted to center the story a little bit around, not the story, but the style of art, a little around my story. So the style of graffiti is something that I grew up looking at and observing, and a lot of it was internalized. My dad used to tag, so and do graffiti, so there's a connection there.
That's cool.
So when it came to the style, that's where the style of Graffiti Heroes come from. Would you like me to tell you about how that ties into the story a little bit more?
I would love that. Sure.
Okay. So Graffiti Heroes is a tribute to unsung heroes in my childhood. So I grew up seeing murals, and these murals would be something that represented a painting on a wall in public that showed respects to people who were did a lot for the neighborhood. So sometimes it might be the person who helped build a basketball court, and maybe that person passed away. That person instantly gets a mural on a wall. Let's go historically. Jackie Robinson, for what he represents next to Jackie Robinson High School, Jackie Robinson might be found on a brick wall near the school. So anybody from historically or just within a neighborhood will get a mural. So I thought, hey, why not tell stories from my childhood and draw stories from there and pay respects to personal people in my life that I believe deserve a mural in the metaverse. So the story starts with a laundry owner. I grew up on the 7th floor of an apartment in Brooklyn. It was called Cypress Hills Projects. And from there, the first thing I see lined up with the window is the laundry store. So I always saw the laundry manager named Gino. And from time to time, my aunt would take me to the laundry. And then I go in the laundry, and Gino was like my guardian. If I wanted to play arcade games, Gino would make sure, like I get a free arcade game once in a while. And if I had to wash clothes, he made sure nobody took the laundry out of our families, a little like dryer washer that was reserved. So that's just one character out of what will be a 10,000 piece collection of PFP collection. So it's going to be over 200 traits that represents, Gino is one of the characters, but represents characters, traits. And these traits are just eyes, nose, hairstyles, accessories of people from my my past. And that's basically what Graffiti Heroes is.
It's amazing. Okay. So you could end up with like a whole different character that is just sort of a hodgepodge, kind of a mismatch of all of the heroes that you've got throughout your whole life. Like that's the ultimate like a Frankenstein superhero there. Yeah, and it's bizarre because I'm right now, like I write a diary, and like I made reference to before, I work in an industry where I sign NDAs, so anything I do in my sketchbook is in private. But I do have my own personal sketchbook and diary. So when it comes to traits, I think about like Gino, and he had a high top, and that was a popular haircut back in the day. But then there was a lot of friends and people who had high tops. So he kind of reminds me when I go outside, I might think of somebody else that looks like Gino, but he might have a different chain, or he might have a different set of shades. So in terms of, as another character named Auntie, I'm representing as a younger person, but then she has a hairstyle, Josephine Baker, because when she's the age I'm portraying her as, that was probably her hero. So it's kind of like an inception of memory of traits, not only traits that kind of remind me of the person, but I'll try to put myself in the person's shoes for how they would want to be represented as a hero. And I think people want to be represented young and stuff like that. So no matter what the age of my heroes are, I try to represent them as their finest version of themselves.
I can talk. There's 4 characters, so I like to at least talk about the other 2 characters. I made reference to laundromat owner Gino.
Yeah, we got Gino and Auntie.
And Auntie, yes. I'll give a little bit story about Auntie before I go on to the rest of the characters. But she's a laundry owner on the other side of Brooklyn. So half of my life I lived in Brooklyn, East New York, and that's where I looked outside and I saw the first laundry owner. And the second laundry owner that had an impact on my life was Auntie. And my dad was the chores enforcer, so I'd have laundry to do, but I also had a tough mentors, not just a mentor. So I have to draw, I have to do papers, and so instead of folding laundry, I had Auntie who I could use a fraction of my allowance. I say $5, and Auntie would fold the clothes and have it ready for me, and I could even walk away from the laundromat, and then she'll tell me to come back 2 hours later, and all of that part of my chores, my laundry will be done and folded in a bag. So that's my hero. She deserves a mural, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, did anybody ever tell you laundry's played a weird role in your life, man?
I don't know. I said this is a conversation piece too, because I imagine I thought this played a role in everyone's life, but that's what Nifty Media comes back into, because we were just talking about stories and hey, that's an interesting thing. Talk about the other laundromat owner. So these are just things that tied in with people that were really the first sparks of my memory when I wanted to make characters based on my past, just people who helped me out.
That's awesome. You got 2 more too, right?
Oh yeah, I do. So the next one is Lotto, and Lotto, I'll say Lotto is a business owner. But the way I perceived Lotto when I was younger was this person that was lucky to own a whole bunch of stores. So the bodega owner, maybe and not even the bodega, only the bodega owner, the person who manages the post office. These people, and a lot of time were men, were people I saw for the bodega, for instance, walk around and kind of clean up and make sure the store, point other people to the shelves and say, hey, make sure we got this in stock. And I thought that person back then, that guy was a lucky guy. Man, he's lucky. He owns stuff. So I thought that was Lotto. But now looking back, that person represented opportunity. I call him Lotto because he hit the lotto and he owns a lot of stuff. But actually that opportunity that business owner made for themselves was something that I internalized and looked at. So I actually look up to the character Lotto, not as necessarily lucky. I'm using the Lotto could be luck, but I think Lotto is also opportunity. He took the opportunity to say, hey, I want to have more fruits in this neighborhood. Okay, I could put that on the shelf, not necessarily to capitalize on other people. It was these business owners are out there, at least in my hood, to help out. So I think Lotto deserves a mural. So the last character is Art, and Art, I didn't know who to go to for a character besides myself. So Lot is a character that reflects pretty much everything I represent. Lot has accessories like colorful hair. I couldn't color my hair back in the day, but when I was painting and when I had dreams of myself, I would see myself as this person with blonde dreads. Things my parents would be like, nah, you can't wear an eye patch. These are traits that will be portrayed with Lotto. A Discman headset. So I carry around Discman headset when I was younger. You might not see any of the other characters with that commonly, but on a person like Art, when the PFP collection is generated, you might notice the headset, shades, things that are cool back in the 90s that represent art, swag, and hip hop culture for what it's worth.
90s is back though.
Yes, 90s. Yeah, look, 90s
I'm loving it.
So he's a hodgepodge of all of these things from the 90s that was cool and dope. And those are the 4 characters, and those they will mix. We will mix traits, and then hopefully have an army of heroes that represent my memories. And it's a PFP that's going to be generated in that time of it. I don't even know how these characters will necessarily look. I'm doing tests, but there's also this idea that memory is not really accurate. So I think the idea of doing a PFP based on these like traits that are just out there is kind of true to how memory works. And I hope that we'll all see characters, not just within my life, but everyone else's life that reflects, you know, people that look like you or people who resemble by story the characters that are represented in Graffiti Heroes.
Man, I'm having flowback memories right now too. Like I remember like having my Sony Discman and like riding in my mom's car, my dad's car, and I remember it was a big deal when I got that skip, that 3-second skip protector. and like that was vital if you were riding with somebody in the car. If you didn't have that, like your CD would be skipping all the way over there.
Oh my god!
Crazy times.
Thanks for sharing that. That is exactly what I want to do because I actually forgot about the skip.
Yeah.
That's
all right,
amazing.
Lord. I cut you off earlier. I didn't mean to. I just got excited.
Yeah, you did. That's okay. So I was actually going to ask, like, you know, what Graffiti Heroes was, how it came to fruition, but you already answered that. But I was wondering, how do you see Graffiti Heroes evolving in maybe in the next year? Like, how do you see yourself, like, do you see yourself taking it to like a completely different art style? Or I guess if you took it to a different art style, it wouldn't be Graffiti Heroes. So would you maybe, are you thinking about creating like an entirely different project around a new art style?
I do want to continue exploring graffiti. Like I'm almost, I am almost wanting to make this a purpose to just keep exploring who I am. And I'm actually still discovering through my dad, because it was seen as a bad thing in the past, tagging graffiti. So a lot of the stories since I started this project has only come out from my dad since I started it. So I am looking forward to exploring more of this style. And then I still want to pay homage to people I'm researching. Like, for instance, it's a graffiti artist in Metropolitan Museum Art named Robert Lugo, who draws graffiti on ceramics. So I want to know more about him. Basquiat, he has an entire exhibit in New York that was completely booked when I was there. So I'm like, oh, there's still stuff to see in person that I want to feel out as I develop more characters. So I think Graffiti Heroes will just be a continuation of me trying to remember and revisit people in my life that I want to pay respects to with murals. So I hope to continue to study graffiti. And who knows, the ultimate goal will be, since I am a 3D artist and look development artist by trade, and I'm designing characters in 2D, I would love at some point to this to evolve into 3D project. But the way you start off, and the way I learned is that, you know, you draw characters to the best of your ability, and then when you want to style them, you could go nuts. I am still styling them, but hey, it might be 3D. I think the metaverse allows for that. So stay tuned for what's to come with the style.
I'm already envisioning it right now. I think that's awesome. Speaking of your dad and tagging some weird items, he shared a story with me. I had the pleasure of speaking with your father for maybe an hour and a half. He loves talking stories about you from childhood and throwing you under the bus a little bit. But one particular story is fresh in my mind. It's a story about how you may or may not have asked to borrow a pair of his shoes, and when he got them back, they may have had some extra design patterns on them. Do you know what story I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know that story.
All right, can you give us that story maybe from your perspective, and how old were you when this happened?
Yeah, so when I was about 11 years old, it wasn't, I wouldn't say 11, it was as I was getting older, my dad would have like old shoes, or I considered them old, that he let me like borrow. And he'd be like, oh, you can wear these Nikes, you can wear these Timberlands, like, and I actually helped me develop like my style, like, you know,
Right.
like buy something new. And I didn't, as a child, I didn't know what I wanted. So I think it was somewhere between 11 and 13. I was like, all right, I got like at least 4 pairs of these from him by now, passed down. So like, let me start like doing art on shoes, because like I had these new paint markers. Shout out to like stores like Pearl Paint and these places in New York where you just go to this corner and like you're like, oh, that's on sale on the shelf. Oh, that's in the the clearance rack. So I had like a whole set of markers, didn't know what to do with it. And when I used the markers in my book, like it bleeds through the page. So the next best thing was like, all right, yo, I think I'm
Let's
gonna
get creative.
yeah. I kind of hit it. I guess I foreshadowed in my life NDAs, but I would draw in the corner on sneakers. I think my first pair was like a Nikes, only the black ones. So Nikes and a pair of black Timberlands. Now the Nikes that I borrowed from my dad, that was sort of hidden away. But I had a pair of Timberlands that he bought. It was probably like within 6 months. I was like, you know what? I should wear these pair. Like I'm done with practicing. So
I'm like, ready for the main show.
Yo, the fresh pair. He saw that I was like, what I do is I put my name. I might tag my name on it, write in like 3D block letters, and then I have favorite sports teams like the Knicks, the Nets, the Seattle Supersonics, Bulls. So I'll like draw the logo and anything that like inspired me. Like even if it was just a smiley face, I'll just draw, and it was like this collage of like colors and little iconography. And yeah, he saw it on something that if I think back, I'm pretty sure the Timberland boots were like more than $100.
Yeah.
You know, for a 13-year-old to draw on $100 pair of sneakers or boots was just a no-no. So he got angry. He told me like, this is not what clothes are for. This is not what you're supposed to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do art. What's going on? Like I was just devastated. But I kept all my art in books. And from that point on, I kind of kept in my mind like this, like, you know, tagging and stuff like that. But I didn't know back in the day when he did it was wrong. So I didn't know where he was coming from. So he got in trouble actually when he was younger. He said when he was bored, he tagged in the train stations and stuff like that. So now fast forward today when he was like, he actually apologized for telling me I was wrong to write on sneakers, because he said he grew up believing that writing on things that were like, you know, new or weren't meant to be drawn on in the first place, like a book, he always thought it was wrong just because of his upbringing and how he was like, you know, treated back then for tagging.
That's interesting. Wow. He wishes he kept those shoes, by the way. He told me. He was like, man, I wish I kept those.
That's sweet, though. Well, do you have any drawings you can show us now? Like from your personal sketchbook?
Yeah, I do.
That you want, no pressure.
Oh, no. I have a whole bunch of sketchbooks here. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
All right.
And Monty, while he gets the drawings, I just want to go back to what you just said, because you put it best, right? So it looks like we're a family, and indeed we are, right? We have so much fun working together. I was on a Twitter space the other day, and I think it was the host. It was under the impression that, so is Ty? Are you guys paying Ty? Like, no, we're not that kind of like, you know, rich group of people that is like go out and hire a bunch of artists. He has been with us from the beginning and as part of the journey, and you know that's how we're going to market. So and maybe, you know, it's a legit question, because you know you see all these big names coming together on this type of project, and you know people ask, right? But it's totally the opposite from the initial impression.
Wow, yeah.
So I'm looking through my sketchbook.
I think we're going to be in luck here in just a moment.
Yes.
Yeah. I am
like you can't talk to an artist and not have him show us some of like stuff in his personal sketchbook, you know? Not the stuff that we already see.
Where's my drawing? I'm looking for a specific drawing, because I have not released this drawing to the public. So I think it's really important that the public sees it.
You know, what's amazing to me is that people will look at somebody in Ty's situation and think, oh, well, you know, that's an overnight success right there, not realizing that he's been drawing on shoes since he was 11. You know what I mean? And he kind of alluded to the fact that he had some tough mentors, but really that means behind the scenes, like there was a lot of grinding. And I think it was before. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was before we went on air or not, but he was talking about how he was working at CNBC with one of the other co-founders and, you know, putting together graphics for the news channel. And that's the kind of like grunt work, grind work. It's not bad work. I mean, obviously everybody's got to
Yeah.
make a living. The people that do that are talented in
Mhm.
all their aspects, but you got to make a living. And until you can make a living, you know, doing the fun stuff, sometimes you got to do some of the stuff that's not quite as fun to kind of hone your craft and get there. And so I appreciate you working the long hours to like grind it out so you can get the, you know, some of the attention you deserve now.
Thank you.
All right, here we go.
Are y'all ready to see some drawings?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
All right, I have a few. So I'm gonna start off with an unreleased drawing. Have not released this to the public. All right, so check this out. So this is in 2009. I graduated from New York University, and I had to do a project called Dive. Well, I had to do a thesis project, and it was named Dive. So this book has like a whole bunch of logos that say Dive.
Dive.
And I was like, hey, what should dive into the crash into the ground? And eventually what crashed into the ground was a pencil. So I have some like some drawings of like arrows and things that you would draw with a pencil. And
love it.
Before the dive went into the ground, like crashed into the ground, was a pencil. I think I foreshadowed the pandemic because I drew a roll of toilet paper crashing into the
Wow.
I was like, man, like, you know, shout out to Graffiti Heroes again and Nifty Media. I was looking through sketchbooks like, hey, like, what did I draw from my past that's relevant now? And this toilet paper is totally relevant. I just sad that I didn't whip this drawing out 2 years ago when people were going through supply chain issues.
Yeah.
But issues with tissues. But yep, that is my drawing from 2009 and Scotty Tissues 1000. But wanted to show that. And I'm traditionally trained, so I just wanted to show some other drawings that do like I focus on doing portraitures. That's a little bit more realistic. This is some drawings. I actually copy drawings from academics. So this is some of John Sargent's drawings. I'm just replicating it in my style and with my touch. So cool. Yeah, that's just a copy. And then what I do is on my Instagram at Taekwon, I usually just draw people who I want to pay respects to. So this is one of the godfathers of gaming, Jerry Lawson. So I saw a Netflix documentary about gaming and thought, oh snap, that's a good person to pay respects to. Reason I'm showing is because I just drew it out of the blue, but then I just tagged them. And then in that Instagram post, the person's son was like, oh my gosh, this is my dad. You did a perfect like drawing. And I'm like, wait, like, but I don't know his son, like out of nowhere, his son messages me. So the power of drawing, like you could kind of connect people to your skills. So if you do have a sketchbook out there, post what you have in the sketchbook because you never know who it might touch or reach. So those are 3 drawings I want to share with y'all.
I love that. That's amazing. Thank you.
That's a beautiful story. I love that you reached out and touched someone who was reminded of their father, and kind of it probably just came out of the blue. Like it was out of the blue for them, right? You had been thinking about this person, and that's amazing.
So it's an honor to be honored to be an artist, and like I just want to pay homage to like all the mentors and people like that. So just a continuation of that is I just want to say that's what I represent, and I hope that resonates with everybody out there.
I hope that it inspires more people to be artists, but not just artists, but the people who inspire the artists or facilitate their success, like the aunties and the Lottos. You know, like those people are important in our lives, right? And so I hope some of them kind of catch wind of this and see what's going on there as well. I think that's about all the time that we've got today. I really appreciate you sharing some stories, giving us some insight and, you know, where your headspace was at and what your process was and showing us your sketchbook. That was amazing, right, Lauren?
Yes. I loved it. I loved it. I love all of it. Like, that's just amazing, especially like realistic art. I draw a little bit, nowhere near as well as you, but I love realistic art. That's like my favorite. So
that's fantastic. Fabs, always a pleasure, my friend. We appreciate what you're doing, kind of spearheading this project and bringing the Nifty Media Art family together so that everybody's got this platform to share.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right,
Well,
folks.
Thanks for having me too.
That's all we've got for this time. Thanks again to everybody for watching. We'll post all the links down below, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
All right.